It seems like it's sending data. Let's check it out. Oh, it's definitely a live chat. And then we tell Ned that it worked. It worked. It's alive. Venti Cinco. YouTube only giveth, the Dale Hillians taketh. So that's how that works. That is how the dynamic works in this world. YouTube giveth and the Dale Hillians taketh. This is a photo I discovered this morning of a very helpful Sasquatch helping someone. The backstory essentially was that they were walking in the woods, and they got back to their car, and they realized that they didn't have their car keys. So then they turned around to retrace their steps, and as they were doing that, they found their car keys in this star-shaped pattern of sticks, which is only going to be built by a Sasquatch, obviously. Other people, human beings generally don't build like this. This is more ghetto. This is more like if a small child or a just someone who's more ghetto wanted to point them in the direction of their keys. And there was a lot of talk on some of these places like Sasquatch Chronicles and Reddit, and they were saying that Sasquatch act like small children and that they think that they might be like autistic. And they're not holding anything against them. They're not saying, oh, they're bad. Maybe Sasquatch Chronicles, because on Sasquatch Chronicles, he wants to shoot at least one, and he says that they're often aggressive. And so a lot of times you'll hear completely different opposite sentiments from the Squatch community. But Wes is revolutionary. And realistically, guys, I think if anyone has any hope of proving that the Sasquatch exists from a data perspective, of just, obviously Roger Patterson already did that, you know, but before that, or after that, it's going to be Wes Germer, because he has interviewed so many witnesses at this point. We're talking over 1,000, I think. What episode is he on right now? Let's find out. And not all of them are true, but you know when it's a true one. You can tell a liar, guys. That's the funny thing. People are like, they're all made up. It's like, you know when someone's full of shit if their story, like, and there have been, even if one person on Sasquatch Chronicles is telling the truth, out of how many episodes have they had now? Let's find out. Sasquatch Chronicles. If just one fucking person is telling the truth. Oh, look at this. He's had thousands of episodes. It looks like the latest one that I see right now with my own eyes is 1,192 interviews of Sasquatch witnesses. And so now every now and then there's like a best of Sasquatch Chronicles of the year episode, so you can remove one. But if one person is telling the truth on Sasquatch Chronicles, then there's a Sasquatch. Or there's more than one, probably. Of course. Because they get seen in Florida and in Washington, in Oregon, California, in every state, pretty much. I think they've had reports out of every state. It doesn't mean not every state's telling the truth. It doesn't mean there's for sure a Sasquatch in Arizona. I mean, why? There's probably areas of Arizona where there's a lot of woods. So who knows? I don't know how but I know in the Pacific Northwest you guys haven't seen everything. They're like, oh, we would find it. It's like, when was the last time you were on horseback for 92 days over 5 waterfalls and down at like a non-existent logging road through a valley called the Valley of Headless Men, and then it goes for like another 700 miles into the woods. There's no roads. When was the last time you did that? Well, we've seen everything. So dumb. Wes is cool, though. Because Wes is one of the only guys who's going to go out there and say, we need to shoot one of these fucking things. I mean, it is sad. Nobody wants to shoot a Sasquatch. But if you're going to prove something, you need a body to prove it. Or you can just accept Roger Patterson's film, because that's what I do. Roger Patterson's film is real, guys. And they're like, it's a hoax. It's like, just stop saying everything's a fucking hoax so we don't have to shoot one. It's so... They couldn't do that in 1967. You couldn't do that in 1967. That's the thing. It's not possible. It's not like now. It's AI. You don't have that back then. You don't even have spandex in 1967. So, you building your costume where there's flexing musculature in 1967? They didn't have that technology. Look at the spacesuits they took to the moon, guys. And those are state-of-the-art 1969. Those things are all stiff and fucked off because they didn't have the ability to make individual cells of a costume fucking flex independently of each other. It's ridiculous. If NASA couldn't do it to go to the moon, which they did, it seems, if NASA couldn't do that, then Roger Patterson couldn't do it. That's it. And people like to point to Hollywood. They say, well, Hollywood's top costume makers at that time could not recreate the Patterson-Gimlin film subject. One, of course not. But two, is that really your best example? How about NASA going to the moon? They didn't even... They put, like, corrugated vacuum tubes in these guys' arms. So they were like... It was, like, terrible. Under pressure and everything. Okay, well, where's the individual flexing musculature of the suit that would enhance mobility on the lunar surface? Oh, that's right. They couldn't do that back then. And that was 2 years after the Patterson-Gimlin film. So this is ridiculous. It was a hoax. It's not a hoax. Just take the evidence. It's like, it's the same as what they say Sasquatch theorists are. Or they're, you conspiracy theorists, every time you just called everything a hoax. It's like, that's what you do, actually. Case in point, the Patterson-Gimlin film. Look at these keys. So this guy... And Sasquatch are known to do this, too. They're very helpful to the people. Sometimes. If you ask Wes Germer, sometimes they do bluff charges and they fucking throw rocks at us and stuff. Which probably also happens. But they didn't throw rocks at Roger Patterson. Because he's a legend. You think the Squatches knew that Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson were not to be trifled with? FR, guys. Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson are like legends. You know, this is the main thing that people don't talk about with the PGF. They're afraid to address this with the PGF. When Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin shot that film, they were 200 miles, I think, into the woods and 27 days into an expedition. So if you're going to fake a video of a Sasquatch, and the entire purpose of going out there during that period is to falsify Sasquatch footage, which is what the allegation is, because people say that Roger Patterson took a state-of-the-art space-age costume, better than any costume of the era, could not be recreated at that time, probably can't be recreated now. He took this costume out to the woods with the sole intention of filming false Sasquatch videos so that he could get rich and famous or whatever, which really it just ruined his life. Him and Bob Gimlin, by the way. They're out there on horseback for 27 days. And they come back with shaky 30-second footage of the Sasquatch. Wouldn't you fake it on day one closer to the road? Why would you wait 27 days and only come back in a hurry because the rain's coming down now? And when they brought experts out there to cast the tracks, they invited people to this place. Guys, this is not how you do a hoax. If you do a hoax, you keep certain things under wraps, and you falsify certain evidence, and you engineer the way that you approach the world with it. But Roger Patterson didn't do that. Roger Patterson was out there for 27 days, got this, and he gets the film at the end of the film reel. It's not a fresh reel of film. It's not like, oh, we're going to film Sasquatch. Okay, but give me the new reel of film and start. Boom. You'd have several more minutes, whatever. It's like, here's several minutes of my friend Bob riding around on a horse. And then right at the end, the famous Patterson-Gimlin film. And then it runs out of tape while he's shooting the encounter. By the time he got the new magazine film in the camera, etc., the Squatch was gone. Yeah, but they followed it, or attempted to. Bob Gimlin was a native descent, so he's a good tracker. So Bob Gimlin followed the impressions that were left at Bluff Creek, and eventually lost them in the growth of the forest. But they immediately called people who were who were top minds of casting track impressions back then. Immediately called them, and you race back and get the fuck over here right now. We've just seen a Sasquatch. We have his tracks. So they had people come out and take track castings all throughout there. And then Roger Patterson took the film on tour and told everybody that this was a real thing. Bunch of people didn't believe him. A lot of people didn't believe them at first. And this was hard, I think, on Roger Patterson and on Bob Gimlin, but neither of them ever deviated from that story, and they were firm that this is what happened. And Bob Gimlin is now, even to this day, I think he's still alive, unless he's just recently died. Let me see. Let's find out if Bob Gimlin's alive. Dun-dun-dun. Yeah, he's 93. He's alive. You know, and he's 93, and I'll tell you today that that's real. That was a real film. Because the circumstances don't make sense for it to be fake. Anyway, you can tell by the circumstances it's not fake. Okay, we're out here for 27 days. No one has seen us with a costume that whole time in all the towns that we've been going through. Only witness who ever comes forward is Bob Hieronymus, and he's clearly lying. And same with Philip Morris, really, but I don't count that. Because that guy is like, it's not even plausible. Not even possible. It's not even remotely believable that Philip Morris had anything to do with that film. But it's good advertisement if you go and say, oh, I'm the one that built the costume. Oh, what's up, channel? I was hoping that you would see all these live streams because I've been trying to crank out hours for you. We're just talking about Sasquatches because of this funny picture I found on Facebook. This guy says that a Squatch helped him find his keys, and then I got launched into a tirade about the PGF just because I'm a firm believer in it, and a lot of people aren't. I think Kid Freshie was like, "Are you kidding me?" It's like, dude. So this has been a helpful Squatch here that helped this guy find his car keys. What have you really missed, channel? There's tons of material lately. Been going at Cash Paddle really hard, making fun of him and his name. For those of you... Yeah. Well, eventually... Because it all gets mixed in, and I do refer back to... The purpose of researching some of those cases, I think, is to learn... the dynamics of certain criminal offenses, and so that when other things come up, you have a wealth of knowledge to draw from. Like, it's hard to really give you an example of that, but I think if you get good at like learning about one criminal's modus operandi, then it's good at training your brain into looking at like, oh, what's up with this guy's MO? And then you know how to really analyze it when it unsolved. Like, did you see my profile of Tyler Robinson before he was Capturado? Before Capturado Robinson got apprehended, I gave like some bullet points on who and what I thought the offender was. Yeah, they probably... I think with those January 6 people, it might have been easier to capture them because they were in a mob mentality, and when you get a mob mentality, you're not thinking clearly, and you're certainly not doing counter-forensic subterfuge. You're just caught up in the moment of your political cause or whatever. So it was probably easier to catch those guys. They probably communicated their positions to each other. They probably left fingerprints at the scene, like all kinds of stuff. Whereas, Capturado Robinson, or somebody more intelligent than Capturado Robinson, attempting to, definitely bragging about it and posting on Facebook. I agree with that. When you have a shadowy covert offender, which, of course, Capturado Robinson wanted to be that, but he just wasn't smart enough or old enough to know how to do it. If I had seen the CCTV photos when I wrote up my my offender profile on the quote assassin, I wouldn't have assumed he was quite as elite as I kind of did. Like, I still put heavy limitations on his experience and his training because of how far away the shot was fired and some other circumstances. If this were a top military sniper, he would have been 600 yards away because it's just easier to do that. They're already perfectly capable of engaging a target at that range, especially a sitting target in daylight through an optical system on a high-powered rifle. A military sniper could easily hit someone at 600 yards from there. So the fact that the offender chose something so close, 200 yards, led me to believe that he was like not combat experienced or not a sniper. But he was clearly effective with a sniper rifle because, as you know, what happened and where he aimed and all these kind of things. Did he think he would get sniped back? What were Charlie's guys hand signaling, and did they see the shine off the rifle? No, I don't think he expected counter snipers because there weren't any counter snipers. It's different than if you're going for a political figure because they're going to have a higher budget. They're going to have, especially a presidential stuff, they're going to have Secret Service behind, so definitely counter snipers. I don't think Tyler or Capturado Robinson expected there would be counter snipers. The hand signaling, I'm not sure. I watched America's Untold Stories, and Mark Grobert had a really good hypothesis that I like. He said that when people are doing events like this outside and talking, those hand signals can mean anything. It can mean like wrap it up, we only got 20 minutes, or bring the car around, something like that. And Mark Grobert suggested, a similar scenario to that. I thought that's brilliant because it makes more sense than someone signaling to a sniper. You don't have to really signal to a sniper anyway. If the deep state has their dude in and he's like a good sniper, then they just leave it up. They just let him engage his target. He knows the rules of engagement. He knows when and how to do it best, and you don't need to signal him. I don't think. I like Grobert's explanation, more realistic. And then and it was all hypothetical. We don't know if there was hand signals at all. Maybe there are. I didn't really get too deep into that because I didn't see a conspiracy here. He just started talking, though. Maybe they were signaling danger. I think that none of these guys expect this. And because it shouldn't have to be a problem. Like, Charlie Kirk should have been able to go to a university and talk to people without getting shot by a sniper rifle. That's insane. And unfortunately, that's the state of their cultural climate that all these people are manifesting for themselves or whatever. And I'm not blaming it on Charlie. I'm just saying you guys get in these political incendiary debates, like people are going to start shooting at each other. It's been happening for 100 years. So, especially like rhetoric that, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what he said so much. I just know that everybody's crazy right now because they always blames. Oh, what's up, Ned? Have I made channel a thing too? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, I didn't do that. You guys, what happened is the Dale Hillians really kind of inconvenienced everyone by trying to get their moderator statuses removed. So I'm making sure that everybody has their statuses. Okay, and Ned's got a channel. Okay. Let's see here. Because these people have been on forever on this show when we were in the garage cutting out pictures of Arthur Lee Allen and having him argue with Don Chaney. Let's see. The shine on the rifle. I don't know. No, because if you think about it, really, if somebody had recognized a threat like that for any longer than like 2 seconds, Charlie Kirk would have been ushered quickly out of the line of fire. If someone was like, "There's a sniper rifle over there," someone would have probably tackled Kirk and brought him to a safe location behind, a vehicle or something. I don't think anybody saw this coming, and it's a shame that they should have, because this shouldn't have happened. How ridiculous is that? Someone can't even talk in public without getting shot by a sniper rifle. That's retarded. I do a yogurt shop. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you brought that up, channel, and I forgot. Let me take the Sasquatch picture off here. So they solved the 1991 Austin Yogurt Shop murders case. Turns out it's a dead serial killer, and I guess we can now rule out. I think we can rule out the I-70 killer. Now, what's funny here? Yeah, I'm glad the case is solved too. It's funny that. So I researched deeply on the I-70 killer and attempted to rebrand his moniker as the Jeweler's Rouge gunman to give you more information about what specifically indicates how we link these cases. But the I-70 murderer is this guy who was going around to shops, and he was taking the clerks or the cashiers into the back of the store, shooting them execution style in the back of the head, not really robbing, blah, blah, blah. And this happened across the Midwest and across Texas. And they linked the Midwestern killings because the rounds had traces of Jeweler's Rouge on them. And this happened because the gunman was polishing the feed ramp of his magazine with Jeweler's Rouge abrasive compound to get the weapon to feed more reliably. So they linked all those I-70 murders. But then some other murders started happening in Texas, the I-35 killings, and no Jeweler's Rouge was found. But the law enforcement still believes that it's the same offender. In fact, on the wanted poster, you see I-70, I-35 serial killer. So the yogurt shop thing had occurred in 1991, and there's a lot of MO factor similarities between that crime and the I-70 killings. I kind of was going back and forth on it, and sometimes I'd read like a piece of the MO factors, be like, this sounds like him. Well, in 2001, gas station cashier Billy Brossman in Terre Haute, Indiana, was shot and killed by a man who came into the store, put some beer on the counter, produced a 38 caliber revolver, and then robbed the cash register, and then walked Brossman to the back of the store, shot him in the head, and then exited the store. Now, it's in Terre Haute, which is ground zero for I-70 killings, basically. We have many MO factor similarities there. And he bears a resemblance to a slightly older version of the composite sketch. And, of course, this is now, 10 years later. So he looks like the composite sketches of the I-70 killer. He's got similar MO factors, blah, blah, blah. And he also appears to have no apparent previous crimes and no apparent follow-up crimes. So you start asking, well, where are these other crimes? And then you go, well, he must be the I-70 killer. Because otherwise, where are other times he's done this? He's clearly done this before. Look at the video. This is a very smooth criminal at doing what he's doing. So obviously, he's done this before. Where has he done this before? I-70 killer, we think. But that would mean that the Billy Brossman shooter is the I-70 killer, which means we have video footage of the I-70 killer and we know what he looks like. He's not, what's this guy's name? Brashers? What's his first name again? The yogurt shop that the case confession was from a cop going to this. No, the case confession was a bunch of kids. There was some controversy about how these kids were, had like testimony presented against each other in court, and there's all this stupid legal crap. But these kids had nothing to do with it, and at first that's what I felt too. And then there was someone on Reddit who was like, "No, it actually was these kids," and he provided all the stuff. It's like, "Look, this happened," and I was like, "Wow, that looks like they did it again." But it turns out that someone was just feeding them holdback information, and then they were confessing to it and using that as proof. It's like the way the Zodiac says, to prove this I shall state some facts only I and the police know. It's very common to have holdback in the homicide. So whoever was feeding these kids information for their it's messed up, because they totally got themselves incarcerated for it, and something they didn't even do. So very stupid. Never, guys, don't confess. Yeah, Robert Eugene Brashers. Don't confess to things you didn't do, guys. Seriously. Is this so hard? It's like, do you believe in the things that you do? Because why would you ever? I would never confess to something I didn't do, especially to law enforcement. Have some spine. Believe in your fucking, even if you're wrong, at the time, be like, I'm going to do this way because I believe it. And then they're never going to be able to, you robbed the bank. Be like, no, I didn't. That's not how I would do that anyway, you dumbass. One killer on four was bold. I think this guy. Oh, man. So dark, yeah. I mean, they're just a bunch of scared kids. It's nothing, really. It shows me that he had confidence. That he was a very, very aggressive and very confident offender. Because even though it's not a threat, it's for kids, you're going to have your own nerves and inhibitions. And this guy clearly just went in there like no hesitation, and it's fucked up. So I'm happy that he's identified. It's too bad that he's currently dead and we're not able to hold him accountable for those things, Yeah, and you know what, Ned? It's a perfect example of being weird is not a crime. We see this so many times in this stuff. We all do it. We get fixated on the behavior of Otro personas. We're like, look at this weird person doing this over here. This is very suspicious. What's going on here? And we look at that, and it's good to do that in investigation because that's how you uncover information. But we consistently see there's just somebody being weird in the corner, and being weird is not a crime, according to Ned DeHaan from Black Box Online Radio. I completely agree with that assessment. How many kids? Did you guys see Morford's interview? Oh my god, I have so much to say for you guys with Zodiac right now, actually. Morford did an interview on the Crawl Space podcast, and he talks about McDuff being the Zodiac, and why he is 100% sure that McDuff is the Zodiac. The criticism that I have of everything he put forward almost in that show is that he's kind of taking unconfirmed Zodiac activity, showing how McDuff is near it, and then using that as evidence that McDuff is Zodiac. But we need to start with confirmed activity to be sure. I mean, I can't even, and maybe he's right. I don't know, but because we're looking at the Oakland A's tickets and some of the other things that are not confirmed Zodiac behavior or an activity, he's taking non-canonical activity and linking it to McDuff, and that bolsters much of his argument, and maybe he's right. We can't say because it's unconfirmed Zodiac activity doesn't mean it's not Zodiac, doesn't mean it is Zodiac. But if you want to, like, it's better to link McDuff to, and I think he has him linked to near the phone booth at Blue Rock Springs, right? It's better to link him to that canonical activity. Like, only the things we know for sure was the Zodiac Killer. That's the best way to do that. Especially if you're going to say you're 100% sure someone is the Zodiac Killer. You should start with behavior that definitely is the Zodiac Killer. So, it was, I like what Morford does with, like, interviewing Ken Clark, and I think he's really passionate about these cases, and that's good. But I don't know. I haven't seen him call much correct. Really haven't, you know. He suggested to me that Ripencourt wasn't even the Erons, and that's clearly the Erons. So I think he's just he's a better personality than it. Like, it doesn't, McDuff is probably not the Zodiac Killer. Oh, also, McDuff is too short, by the way. McDuff is 5'8", and his shoe size is 8. Is not the Zodiac. That's it. That's it. The Zodiac is not 5'8". I know that Michael Mageau thought that, but that's because Michael Mageau was sitting in a car, and the Zodiac came in. So, no. The most scientific explanation, as many of you have heard me say, was Cecilia Shepard's estimate at Lake Berryessa. She said that he was 12/26/75. Actually, they do a really good job laying out the ransacker's career, and they talk a lot about Oscar Clifton and basically the posthumous exoneration of Oscar Clifton via their research, and it's very effective. And they give you a great rundown of all the Visalia ransackings and everything that happened on Kauai Avenue, going from basically start to finish. It's great information for VR. But be careful when Tony Reed says that he made this going in. Just be wary every time that Tony Reed says he made a prediction, or every time he links unconfirmed activity with confidence to being Joseph D'Angelo. If you go in with that mindset, it's a great podcast. And most of what Tony Reed did that I have been ranting about on this channel came after the podcast. The newest episodes are trash. Don't let him tell you the Maggiores were a botched abduction. That's a dumb theory. I mean, that theory makes no sense at all. It's just so dumb. And then he's been kind of saying some sneaky stuff lately. But if you just want a nice rundown of all the Visalia ransackings, listen to that podcast from the beginning. I think by the time you get to, like, episode, I don't remember for sure, maybe episode 30, then you're going to be, you've heard the Visalia ransackings. And the ransacking was a really weird thing that happened because, it's just a weird situation, the way that this guy evolved. So that's a great podcast for that information. But anytime Tony Reed says that he called something, it's just like, so does my broken clock. He also takes credit for stuff he didn't do. He'll be like, we suggested that the Visalia ransacker and the East Area rapist was the same person. It's like, so did McGowan because he shot at him. And it was like 20 years before you were born. Or before you showed up. So don't take credit there, Tony Reed. Next time you point a flashlight at Joseph D'Angelo and he shoots the bulb out, then we'll be interested in what you called. But great work on pulling reports. That's what I would say. Brasher. Oh, Ned said that if DNA says Brashers, I'll say definitely. And that's why DNA is just the future of all these, especially cold cases. And man, I saw one of these they solved with investigative genetic genealogy that happened in the 50s. Somebody had the presence of mind to retain some kind of a DNA sample on, I think, a microscope slide. And then they came back This is from the 50s. They came and ran the DNA, and then they caught the guy. I don't remember his name. But it was a double murder at a lover's lane. The guy shot them with a I don't remember. 22 or something. Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember. But DNA is really the way that everything's being done now. It's just so effective. And you know what blew my mind reading this in the press, and hopefully this is true information, that the shell casing that they found in the drain, inside the drain of the yogurt shop, they found a shell casing, and the shell casing ballistically lines up to the shell casing produced when Brasher's committed suicide by gunshot in 1999. So it's the same pistol 9 years later. That blew my mind. Or 8 years later. He's running around the exact same pistol. In fact, killed himself with it. So that must have been the 38, because there was a 22 and a 38 used in that crime. And that always interested me too, because it seemed like two shooters. Normally, if you have two different calibers like that. Yes, Kenneth Gold. Wow. Pro skill, Ned. That's wild. What a legend, you guys. Ned's like, oh, let me consult my brain. Like Kenneth Gold. Yeah, that's the one. It is exceedingly rare to solve an IgG case from that long ago. That's just great work for the police saving that sample that long. That's what foresight. DNA did not exist at all at that time, or it existed, but we hadn't discovered it or understood its implications in criminal prosecution, and they saved that sample. Brilliant. Great work. Were all his victims that pistol, the mom child? Good question. Jeez. You would... You know what else is weird? He was in prison for how long? Maybe like 7 years or 2 or 5. I don't remember how many years this guy, Brashers, was in prison before he committed suicide, but I think he was released in 1997. And he still had the same pistol from the yogurt shop. So where did he keep that? That's weird. Don't know if he used the same firearm, but if so, then maybe it's a part of his signature, because he probably owned, in fact, had operated more than one firearm, because we have 22 and 38 used at the yogurt shop. So he's operating more than one firearm, which makes me think he's operating more than two. If he's operating more than two, then he, for some reason specifically, continuously used that 138, which, or maybe it's the 22, because what is this 38? Is it a revolver? If it's a revolver, there'd be no casing in the drain. It doesn't eject casings. So was it the 22? What a weird situation. Who kills themselves with a 22? That might explain why it took him so long to die, actually. I didn't think about that. How weird. A lot unknown here, I think. You know, it's kind of a bland solution. And a lot of times it's that way in true crime. People want it to be this fascinating thing. It's like, oh, that's the answer. How many do you really go to judge? Yeah, these guys can't. Generally speaking, can't really stop. You know, it's their way of achieving gratification. Like, and we don't really know for sure if D'Angelo stopped. I think he did, you know, but most of these guys don't stop like that. So it makes sense, and obviously he lived by the sword, died by the sword. There, just a dark life for that guy. And that's the solution. So just to solve. Funny how it takes a Netflix documentary. When I saw that, I was like, why can't they just run IgG? They have DNA. Where did I say it? Somewhere. It might have been in like Jerome's group or something. I said, why don't they just run IgG? It's so easy. Now it's so easy. IgG is the future. Just anytime you have DNA, it's solved. Solved. That's crazy. Before, you used to have to match a sample to somebody. Like, okay, we got the offender's DNA. We're going to enter it into CODIS. Hopefully he gets arrested in 4 years. Now it's like, hand me that skin cell. His cousins are Like, it's so fucking cool. So, no more cold cases, guys. Okay, that time is done. Let's stop doing that shit. Not cool. Be more like the Sasquatch here, who helps this guy find his keys. So, let's see how we got here. That was good work on Ned's part, calling that Kenneth Gold thing. On the child. Yeah, just what a dirtbag. Just what, not good guy. Just complete dirtbag. And, so that means that the I-70 killer is still at large. Let's just dial in there. It's time to find that guy. There should be touch DNA on those casings. Right? I think that he might not have worn gloves, by the way. I-70. Can't remember. Because there were witnesses that survived his reign of terror and could testify to that. But let's solve this one. Was it not in CODIS when they got him? Or if they ran it again? It comes across. So there's the forensic database and the there's two different databases in CODIS. Can't remember what the second one's called. But there's a forensic database and then like a known database where DNA of known offenders is entered, and then the forensic database is DNA from crime scenes that they don't have a link to, they don't have a name for. And so then a lot of times the CODIS will run its own automatic checks, however period of time that goes by, and CODIS will run a scan, and if any of their known database matches their forensic database, they can then link unsolved crimes to apprehended offenders. But this isn't the best system. Really, the best system now is they just take a Q-tip swab and then they just scan it and they tell you who your cousins are. And that's gangster as fuck, so way better. And people are bitching about the privacy. There's no privacy concerns, dude. You know how long the government has had my DNA? The government has had my DNA for, 8 years? Never misused it. Not once. They don't need to anyway. And everyone's, oh my goodness. Well, you guys put your Q-tips in the mail. Hook, line, and sinker, fuckers. But it's good. Now, really, their privacy concerns is they don't want their cousins who are murderers to get away with, or to get caught. It's like Joe Rogan. It's like, what have you done, Joe Rogan? Why are you worried about your DNA? So this is very terrifying. It's like, okay, keep an eye on that guy. But what was Oh, I-70 is next, so we got to come for him. Let's get that fucking guy. Make a documentary. Make a cool documentary about him. What's going on, man? Oh, Robin Foldauer is just not that important. No, fuck them. Make a documentary and capture the I-70 killer. It's a fascinating story. I think what everybody's problem is there is no communication from the killer. There's not enough fanfare. But it's a weird case, and there's a lot of details. You could play off the whole Brossman link and all these other things and make a really good, dramatic little series on Netflix, and then we can capture him, because apparently that's what it takes now. They had to make a Netflix documentary first. Before anyone scans the DNA they've had for 24 years. They had the DNA for 24 years, guys. They just didn't. And IgG's only been around for the last 7 or 8 years. At least like this. But even that's too long. Like, what were they waiting for? A documentary? If that's what it takes, then give us a documentary about the I-70 killer, because a lot of us are waiting on his identification. We want to know, who's that guy in the sketch? Does he look like the sketch? I can't wait till they solve that case and we can decide and we can look at it and go, does he look like the sketch? That's going to be really fun. I don't even think they used CODIS to catch him. I think that they took the DNA and they ran it through like GEDmatch, and then they built family trees and did their thing. Maybe though. It seems like maybe the feds are getting a little annoyed by how irrelevant CODIS is becoming right now. They're like, no, but we built CODIS. And everyone's like, we have JetMatch. But CODIS, it's on television. Oh. And it's just falling into irrelevancy. Though I'm sure it still solves cases. It's just the way of the future is IgG now. So it's a different system. It's now we put your DNA into jedmatch.com, find the family links, and then we reverse engineer their family trees to arrive at the identity of the offender. And then CODIS is never utilized in that process, as far as I know. But anyway, I forgot to have this. Okay. Yeah, channel, I hope it doesn't take that. Is it so important to have a documentary now before you're willing to solve a case? Why? What is going on? It shouldn't take that. What happened is, like, Michelle McNamara created that illusion, guys. This was a very rude thing that she did to us. She created the illusion that it requires a book or a movie, like a dramatic book or movie, before law enforcement will solve a case. And that's a self-defeating prophecy, because then going forward, law enforcement starts to believe that about themselves, and then they behave accordingly. And so now we're at a position where it does take a documentary to solve a case, and this is Michelle McNamara's fault. And it shouldn't take that. But if that's what it is, I mean, who's got to make the damn thing on the I-70 killer? I don't have the time for that, I don't think. But someone has to do it, because we need to capture. We need Capturado I-70 next, and we will have a stream comparing the sketch, guys. As one thing, one promise I'll make to the viewers today here, this September 28th, 2025, that when we identify the I-70 Jewelers Rouge gunman, there will be a stream on Nuke Hoax comparing him to the composite sketch. Because I actually really like that composite sketch, by the way. A lot of times I make fun of composite sketches, but in this particular case, it's based on some credible eyewitness testimony, and also it looks like the guy. I know, why isn't he stupid to not wear a wig? Dude, especially what he was, he's standing for the whole trans rights thing. If he dressed up like a guy in drag for that shooting, it would make perfect political sense, and his parents never would have recognized him. He is so dumb. For real. We gonna find you, Capturado Robinson. And now you have to think about that for the rest of your incarcerated existence. It's like, all I had to do was wear a wig. Dumb fuck. Not to, like, give people, but it just goes to show, like, the intelligence level of people who act like that. Oh, we have to go shoot Charlie Kirk. It's like, am I surprised that you're the dumbest person who ever lived? We learn from that whole incident that Capturado Robinson is just rude and dumb simultaneously. Just a dirtbag. What an incorrect way of handling something. In every possible way. Just the worst decision making. Just not smart. the hell did that solve? It's like, Channel, do you know about Fumato Capturado? Fumato Capturado is the alias of Luigi Mangione on this channel. And if you go to Google Translate and type Fumato Capturado, tell me what you see. But he confessed on chat, and his roommate... No, his parents recognized him, but also... The roommate might have gone along with not saying anything, because they were romantically involved, but the parents were like badass, like Mormons or whatever, and they just weren't having it. And the Mormons are really moral people, dude. If you're talking, like, Mormon missionaries are really cool. They are big into family and constructing their communities, and they have a cultural... They're cool. And they go around and they do missions, and if you believe what they believe, then they're very nice and happy to have you, and if you don't, then all right. We were trying to bring our word to you. They're very nice, cool people. So, good job on the parents' part. I know that's like as everyone read, it's like, how dare they sell out their own kids? Like, you know what? Like, if their kid goes out and acts like that, then something failed there, but I don't think that it's their fault, you know? And so they probably recognize that, like, fuck him, dirtbag. You know? This is not right. You can't act like that. You can't shoot someone's dad in public. Or shoot someone's dad at all, really, or anything like that. But it just goes to show he's just such a just a failure. I think that the like a real one too. Like, see, people are like worried about, he's not. Oh, that he's a degenerate leftist and he's living welfare and da-da-da-da. It's like, yeah, but that's like a different level than someone who snipes Charlie Kirk. Roommate. Yeah, now, because the text message, you know, the roommate can't hide now. I think that, they did flee their house. They lived in some apartment or something. But understandably so, because the right wing is probably going to try to kill him/her. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it is just the leftists that are this crazy. Maybe the right wing really won't go hunt down the roommate. But I'm sure that's the roommate's concern right now, is that someone's going to come for him/her. Let's see. Yeah, I did a whole stream. Would Tyler Robinson really have gotten away with murder? Oh, Luigi, no. I don't know where he got his money. I think he has some money, right? Fucking Fumato Capturado. A hero of the Rolling Stone. Or whoever. You know how these people are. Oh, donate to his legal defense. He's a grifter. He's gonna get your money, dude. Fumato Capturado gonna get your fucking money, you fucking lefties. And you're gonna be like, what happened? Momento, what happened? Oh, the guy who shoots people in the back robbed me. I can't believe it. And then people will be surprised, too. That's the funny part. Like, what? No refunds? Convicted? And then Fumato Capturado will be like, thank you for your donations. We tried hard to fight the deep state. But we were ultimately unsuccessful and received conviction at trial. And then people will be like, well, at least he went down for his cause. And then they check the court minutes and it says pled not guilty all the way to the end. Oh, wait a minute. You got scammed. But Fumato Capturado has lots of commissary and other things in the prison with your money. It's really all he can do at this point. You know, if you're Fumato Capturado, you're in a lot of trouble. for what happened there in New York. So he's not going to be a free man anytime soon. He might as well steal your money. What are you going to do about it? He'll be in the 80X Supermax or something in a single-man cell. So might as well rob everybody's ass one last time. I guarantee that's what he's doing. They're like, oh, but he's a hero. Pled not guilty. Heroes don't plead not guilty. I think that was his. Even if they pleads guilty, the feds will come through and get him again. Oh, yeah, with Fumato Capturado. Or maybe with both of them, yeah. Well, what they've been doing lately, I don't know for sure what the courts will decide in all individual cases, of course, but my prediction is that, and it's not a, I'm not psychic, it's a prediction based on what we've been seeing lately in the system, that the offender is going to be prosecuted by the state. He'll be given life without parole for however many consecutive life sentences. In cases with multiple murders, like Parkland, for example, they will string those murders. In cases like Fumato Capturado and Capturado Robinson, they're both single murder situation. So they'll just give him life without parole for those murders in the state. And then they'll probably take a plea to get there. I don't know if it'll really go to trial. We'll see. But then the federal government is going to come in after that conviction, and they're going to pursue their own federal prosecution. And the goal of that federal prosecution will be the death penalty charges, and they will not offer a plea. So the offender will be fighting a death penalty case. It's very the government is very scary, but it's on purpose because you're not supposed to go around sniping people and killing people. You don't get. They're setting an image right now. If you do that, they're going to kill you. And is that so bad? You know, because totally wrong what these guys did. You know, horrible stuff. You know, even if you don't like Brian Robinson or Brian Thompson, it's not the way to handle it. It doesn't help anything. It just is really horrible. So, the government wants people to understand that. And as soon as the media will stop putting Fumato Capturado on the newspapers and the magazines, that will help the government. It's like the media wants the opposite thing. It's like, what's wrong with you guys? And then they blame the government. Like, the government's doing all these evil things. It's like, you're the one promoting terrorism. Not them. Life for murder, then death penalty. No, the federal government can charge it as a murder, too. They can do their own murder charge. It's not double jeopardy, I don't think, because it's like a new charge. So, even after, I think this is how it works. I'm not a lawyer, but I think the feds can come in and they can charge the murder. Because Turning Point USA, you could argue, is a platform for interstate commerce, and by murdering Charlie Kirk, you've disrupted interstate commerce, and so then they have like that kind of enhancement for that type of murder, where it's like murder in furtherance of a criminal enterprise, like certain things they can do, and then they charge them again. They file a federal charge, and then they execute for those charges. I think Gotti was they just gave him life. But the feds have been lately, in the last several of these big terror events, the feds have been kind of coming in after Después, the conviction, and then raining hellfire down on the convict for it with new stuff. For example, Dzhokhar Zarnev, I think I don't know if the state did charge for. Look at that guy's rap sheet. Oh my God. Dude, look at Dzhokhar Zarnev's rap sheet. That's the end of the road. So they're executing him for that. And it takes him a long time and everything. But can Turning Point USA also be labeled a... Maybe. I don't know. I think it's just not necessary, though. Because it's bad enough to snipe someone. Where it's like... You could... kind of speculate on different enhancements you could utilize to beef up that charge, but it's so heinous anyway. It's just such a horrible thing that he did that just prosecuting it by itself should be effective enough. And sometimes enhancements will complicate stuff, because then the jury's like, well, was it really a hit? And they kind of argue about things that didn't need to be there because this guy just used a sniper rifle to blow someone's neck off. It's very, very serious crime. For good reason. And it should be effective enough to prosecute that way. So. This is like a Drew Beeson show where you like sit there and look at the chat. But I want to know, how does he put the chat on the screen? That was StreamYard or something? Hey, by the way, you guys, I was looking at pictures of Ted Braden. He's not DB Cooper. I don't mean to, not to call Drew Beeson out like that or anything. I'm starting to think, guys, that it's not Ted. It's somebody like Ted, maybe. You know, Ted Braden. But it's fun to joke that Ted Braden is DB Cooper, because he could have been. He had all the prerequisite knowledge to be DB Cooper. I think it's someone else who has all the prerequisite knowledge. Because look at Ted Braden's nose; it's too big. I think. Let's check it out. Let's look at Ted Braden. Ted Braden. He's a war hero. He is a war hero too. No, his nose is too big, guys. He's not Cooper. It's not Cooper. His nose is too big. And the nose gets bigger as you age, too. No, not Cooper, sorry. That's not Cooper. We know Cooper has a skinny, tiny nose. Do I have a Cooper suspect? No. That's the thing with Cooper. It's such a mystery. I've got no idea who the hell he was. But there's a funny story that Ryan Burns tells where, like, this one guy, I think it was Orville Lyons or something, the feds came to him years later and as a Cooper suspect, and they started questioning him. And the very first thing he said to him was, "Is this about that hijacking?" And they're like, "What?" I think that was Orville Lyons. That's an interesting story, and it makes you wonder. But Cooper, what a mystery. The DB Cooper story has been popping off lately. All they gotta do is find the hair slide, dude. Find it. Ransack the Las Vegas FBI offices until you find the stupid hair slide. It's gotta be there. I'll go in there. Ryan Burns and I will go in there and look for it. How's that? If the government gives Ryan Burns and I the money, we will go to the Las Vegas FBI field office and we will search every nook and cranny of that room until we find that fucking hair slide. Happily. I can volunteer that for Ryan Burns, I bet. You know he'd want to do it. If anyone, hey, Ryan, if you ever see this show, which is very unlikely, what do you think about that idea? About us going together to the Las Vegas FBI and finding that damn hair slide. With the hair slide, the case is solved. Because IGG, boom. Ty's question, I agree. Man, the tie, I think that the best lead for the tie is going to be go into the spindle and find the shedded skin cells that were created when adjusting the spindle of the tie. That's going to be your only hope. I think tie particles is going to get you nowhere. I don't think it came from Rem Crew or Crucible Steel or any of this stuff. And I don't think we have the evidence. Maybe he did, but we don't have evidence to show that based on the tie. The tie has been a... Now, the tie is cool because it's Cooper evidence. That's the cool part about it, is that it was something that Cooper took off of his body and left on the airplane. And we have it. And maybe there's DNA in the tie spindle. That would be the best place to check. But if they can find the hair slide, that will help. The fingerprints are a dead end. If they were going to identify him with those prints, they would have already done it. So it's not going to get them anywhere. But Cooper didn't die that. Oh, Cooper for sure survived the jump. Because they would have found him if he didn't. He's too close to civilization for the body not to have been found, or for vultures not to have been seen, or for no evidence at all to turn up on the ground except for $6,000 at Tina Bar 10 miles off the flight path. The money at Tina Bar guarantees that that somebody was on the ground with the money alive, and the only person that could do that would be Cooper. Now, I heard a scary theory, hypothesis, that some sand pits... Guys, Cooper didn't land in the sand pit. You know the odds of that are... And then some of the money was left in that sand pit when he landed, and then the sand was transported to Tina Bar. No. But that's a scary concept. That's what Ryan's looking too much into this. I think Cooper was alive. It depends if it's a real bomb. Now, if it's a fake bomb with road flares, then those road flares serve an alternate purpose. You could use them to start fires in case you needed to create a fire. You could use them for visibility in case you needed to use them as a light or whatever it is. And so he would probably keep the bomb. But if it's a real bomb with explosives instead of road flares, then he would throw that out of the airplane first. So I'm not sure. It's interesting that none of it ever turned up, though. Nothing ever turned up. The only thing ever turned up was $6,000 at Tina Bar. And I think that what happened was Cooper planted the money at Tina Bar in order to throw the FBI off from their searches. Because the FBI was still trying to, through trial and error and through analysis of the flight path and in the minutes of the offense, they were still trying to narrow into the exact drop zone on Cooper. And he probably put that money there to throw them off. The fact that it never turned up in circulation ever again. Oh, great question, because I was about to just launch into it anyway. I think the money was laundered south of the border, because if you spend any of that money in America, it will probably be intercepted. I mean, there's always the possibility that none of the bills ever make it through, but I know for sure that nobody would have spotted it in person, like at lifetime. There was no cashiers looking through the books and go, oh. But there was other things like the star notes. I think some of the money were star notes, and those star notes never showed up again. Well, if you take money south into Mexico, it increases its value, and so the money never comes back up. No one goes with U.S. dollars from Mexico into the United States. The money is being moved downward for the Mexican economy. So I think that the money was just laundered in the South, and it never showed up in a Federal Reserve Bank again, because nobody would do that. You'd lose your money. You'd spend it in Mexico. It's like 4 times more. So the fact that it never showed up again tells me he didn't spend it in the U.S. and he probably didn't spend it in Canada. But it had to have been spent. It's not sitting in a pile in the woods where the dead body of D.B. Cooper. So he's too close to civilization to have never been found. He's definitely, I think, made it to the ground. That NB6 chute container is a very reliable thing. It's a bailout chute, as many of you know, and those are meant to open with positive assurance. And I think Cooper's open. I think he's jumped out of airplanes before. Tina Mucklow said that when he put his chute on, it looked like he'd done this a million times, and he's jumped out of airplanes. And there was nothing too crazy about this jump. Now, the FBI, of course, inflated the dangers of the jump in the later years to discourage copycats from doing the same thing. But totally survivable jump. Dudes jumped. If you wanted to go to Mexico, why jump so close to Oregon? Why not jump closer to Mexico? Maybe to throw them off too. Maybe to get them thinking that he went north, and because it wouldn't take you too long to have a vehicle and take PCH all the way down, and no one would be looking. I mean, I could look up the map route right now and tell you for sure. You know, how many hours is it from via PCH in a fast car in 1971, just flooring it down south. I don't know what the speed laws were like back then, but I think it was a little more lax, and you could just floor it all the way down PCH and go down south, and everyone would be looking up north. It would only been 1 day's journey for him. He could do that drive in 1 day, I think, right, from all the way down. So in that period, within 1 day, Cooper is gone, and everybody's looking the wrong direction. It's the perfect. Remember, he was swarthy, supposedly. So, what's up, Don? Speaking of cashiers checking bills, it reminds me of people writing missing persons clues on bills. Would that be illegal? Yeah, I guess that's defacing U.S. currency, which is a felony offense or something. But no one prosecutes that shit. We've all drawn on dollar bills. I remember after the Whitest Kids You Know or something did it. I drew a B and an R on the back of a 1, so you have a bill that says boner on there, and everybody's defaced currency before. You're D.B. Cooper. I ruled out on my age. Let's see. Yeah, Ned, I think that's probably just a little red herring that he's getting people with. Picking that French-Canadian character, Dan Cooper, jumping close to Canada, and then he's only really a drive, 1 day's drive away from Mexico, where the money will never show up again. Why not go south, launder the money in the south, and then everyone thinks that you're a Canadian because you picked that comic book character from. So I think he was very smart. Cooper was a very smart criminal. We like to make fun of some of the tweaky shit that he did, but remember, he was on Dexedrine. We know for sure. Cooper was abusing Dexedrine pills. We know that for sure because he offered some to the flight crew. So he was tweaking on the airplane. And, of course, he was doing stupid things like trying to MacGyver a money bag and stuff for an hour because he was on Dexedrine. But I think he was very smart. And it's a very easy, very sneaky plan. Consistent with a man who got away with the only unsolved hijacking in American history. It's not like, hard to explain, because we know he was smart enough to get away with this for as long as he has and leave essentially no clues for us to go with. We know that he was very smart in that respect, and I think that there's a reason for that. And he's the kind of guy who would understand how to do that type of subterfuge where you go south, launder the money there, and leave clues. Tina Bar was many years later, so he could have easily come back up. Chevrolet. Yeah. Where has he been since 2018? Checking bill. Yeah, so remember how they caught Hauptmann? If this is a true... I don't want to get into that because that might not be a true story. He must have told Donors that. No, maybe not. That's the other thing about Cooper. He might have just never said a word to anybody. And there are no witnesses to come forward. It would be very easy for him to do that. That's the funny thing with a lot of these guys, the killers and stuff. And Iran's never said a word to anybody. So they're out there. These guys will just... You're never going to hear about it. And it's very effective because it keeps him not caught for a long time. I think he never told anybody that he was D.B. Cooper. So. Well, they always get caught by telling somebody. Or at least that's, they often get caught that way. And Cooper has not been caught. And he must have lived. How'd the money get to Tina Bar? The money can't get to Tina Bar if he's dead. If Cooper falls like a sack of potatoes into a forest and explodes on impact with the ground at 125 miles an hour in the woods, that's the human terminal velocity, by the way. He might have even been a little bit faster because he had 20 pounds of money attached to him and then the weight of a parachute container. So he comes down at maybe 135 miles an hour and explodes. Explodes on impact with a tree root. The money never gets to Tina Bar under that scenario. How would the money get to Tina Bar? Don, that's maybe possible, but there is a hair slide in the Las Vegas FBI field office, and I said it a couple minutes ago on the stream that if the FBI will give Ryan Burns and I the money, we will come into their office in Las Vegas and we will search every nook and cranny looking for the hair slide. And we will find that hair slide if it's in that building. Because we want to know who Cooper was. We'll find it. We will check your air conditioning. We will check your toilet tanks. Hopefully it's not there because then the DNA will be washed off. But I love that scenario I have of Cooper streaking in like a meteor and exploding. Giving you money. Yeah. Well, we'd need the we just need the money to get there and the money for the food. And that they can buy us a vape maybe or something. I know Ryan Burns has money, so I'll ask for that stuff on my own for this task, but maybe a vape and some food and the plane ticket. And also, if they want to pay for my wife to come, because I'd want her to come, and she'd probably help us look for the Cooper slide. So you have a lot of people that would willingly come and look for the Cooper slide. That want to know who D.B. Cooper was. And no one can clean the office? Yeah, we'll get around to it soon. We have to go through some files. Yeah. No, of course they're not going to, but it's fun to... It's fun to volunteer. I'm really saying I would do it. So when the FBI sees this stream, like Edward Snowden suggests that they do, Ed Snowden is positive that the FBI has already seen this stream like 4 times. When the FBI sees this stream, remember, I'm for real, guys. So we'll volunteer to go look for the Cooper slide. Now, do I expect that to happen? No, of course not. But I will happily look for the Cooper slide. Love you too, my brother. This is my brother here, Twisted World in the chat. I found a wooden plank. Actually, I think my wife found it first, and I recognized it. It's a wooden plank down at V-Gutter, and it says Twisted World on it. And she said, "What's this?" And I said, "Oh, it's you-know-who." Yeah, I know you'd go, too. So the FBI has this army of people online that are perfectly happy and willing to come look for the Cooper slide. And they just don't want to do it. It's not our fault. They're like, "Oh, sorry guys, we have to close the case. The office is just a mess." And they did. They closed the case in 2016. Office was just a mess. Couldn't look. We thought about it, but it's just a mess. So, can't check for you guys on that Cooper slide. But if you guys want to argue about it online with circumstantial evidence for the rest of your lives, we'll be happy to come out with a fancy press release and pretend that we helped solve the case. At least they didn't claim credit like they normally do. There's so many cases, though. I mean, what they have to do, and they are doing it, they are releasing all the evidence in the Cooper archive that they have. They're doing it on FBI vault releases. But, I mean, it's going to take them like 14 years. It's like, just release everything to us. Okay, fine, you couldn't solve it. Release everything to us and let us come in and look for the hair slide, because that's a substantial lead that should be pursued. And if we can find that hair slide, we can solve the case. So, there's ways of going about it, and then just ways of not going about it. And, releasing something very slowly over an 8-year trickle period on vaults, just a bunch of scans, is not the way. They should have their army of happy volunteers that will come in there and look for their hair slide. It must be there. And we're not going to let Michelle McNamara in there because she'll steal it. You guys know Michelle McNamara stole DNA sequences from the Orange County Sheriff's Office and then failed to interpret them correctly? Isn't that messed up? She's like, "It's a German guy. Everyone look for that German." And everyone was looking for Germans. All because of Michelle McNamara. At least until Paul Holtz came along and did it right. Pure beat. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here and see if I can play you guys a song. Because, we'll see if we can do it. This is a new song. All I have to do is drag it in, huh? I want it to make sure that it's going to play it. Hold on. I suspect that you guys might have heard something there, but I have to make sure that I do this a certain way. So we can both hear it. Yo soy is gonna go monitor. Is it monitor only mute output or monitor and output? Oh fuck. I don't know. Let's try it this way. I'm scared.
Over fences just hasn't been enough for me. I run from all the neighbors and memento for policing. I know you never saw my face, and I doubt that you identity. While the town hall scream and shout, kill that piece of shit. And it's gonna be okay, 'cause I don't look like a sketch. It's gonna be okay, 'cause I'll just follow it. Lock up all your properties, leave lights on at all hours. Tell them that you're sure you've seen me, oh so you're proud. Keep owls in your window tracks, I made a homemade ski mask. Now you know you never saw me, oh so you're proud. This whole thing is out of hand, 'cause the neighbors live on stolen land. And when I go over, I'm rolling over, there's no escape, no new road. I can't cut through glass and I use a stone to listen through your walls. I'm a high-tech operator, a high-tech Zacchaeador. But it's gonna be okay, don't slow your proud. It's gonna be okay, don't slow your proud. Lock up all your properties, you're moving and now. Tell them that you're sure you've seen me, oh slow your proud. Weapons, hide your fire axe. I made a homemade ski mask. Now you know you never know you're proud. Fences aren't enough for me. Landlines aren't enough for me. Fences aren't enough for me, 'cause I can run from the ICE. Fences aren't enough for me. Landlines aren't enough for me. Fences aren't enough for me, 'cause I can run from the ICE. No soy your prowler. 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 No soy your prowler.
Does that mean you live with Kevin Norlander? That is fucking cool. So that song is called Yo Soy Un Prowler. And it says, jumping over fences just hasn't been enough for me. I've run from all the neighbors and memento for policey. I know they never saw my face, and I doubt that new identikit while the town hall scream and shout, kill that piece of shit. Oh, he's okay. Well, at least you see him all the time. He does look a bit like that sketch from the Lake Berryessa, but I don't think it's him. She's asleep, I think. And so that song is going to be on the book depository. Oh, I also... Here's the album cover, folks. I did an album cover. It's in here somewhere. For the book depository. I believe... I ended up just deleting a bunch of shit on this computer. Like... I mean, a lot of it I don't need, guys. It's not... You know... I'm a file hoarder, too. I'm like... It's kind of ridiculous. I know I saved the image, and the computer's just like, nope. Okay, so good thing I sent it to people. Oh, here we go. I'm just gonna take this and I'm just gonna put it in OBS this way. What the fuck happened? Oh, okay. OBS not having it, huh? OBS is like, go screw yourself. Can you see it? What the fuck is going on? Where's the image? What? Say motherfucking what? What's that? That's not it. Okay, we covered that already. Tribuco, how he should be the head of the FBI. We covered that. Let me put the chat back on and figure out what the fuck. Oh shit, it might be gone because I need to log into a YouTube account with two-factor authentication, and I can't satisfy the two-factor authentication requirements. So the other, I can log in. It's something weird. I don't remember exactly. I'm gonna figure out what's going on there. I'm hoping it's not on that computer that got lost at Santa Ana. But nothing so far from that. What was okay? Yeah. Why? So what's going on here? How come I'm not able to add the album cover that I made? What's going on here? Let's try downloading it and then doing this. Because I think there we go. Mm-hmm. So this is Lee Harvey Oswald created with Portrait Pad, which is a I know it is shitty, but I'm so used to like losing certain parts of history and there's some things are just meant only for like, but it might be there. I wouldn't give up yet, but if in the event that we never find it, we still have that experience, and so that's the way I see these things. This is Portrait Pad. It's used by, I guess, some law enforcement to create identikits of unknown offenders, and I used a picture of Lee Harvey Oswald and recreated his face in Portrait Pad, and then I took his hair from a booking photo at the Texas jail, and I pasted it onto that, and then boom, that's your album cover. And it's meant to be an homage to this, actually. People will be like, well, isn't it, why do you have that as your album cover? It's a face or whatever. Well, let me show you why. There's a reason behind why I'm doing these things, guys. Okay? I mean, just what a cool fucking guy this guy is. Ready? Boom. Oh no, I don't want a URL. I want the file type, you bastard. I want it in higher resolution too, by the way. That's garbage, ghetto ass fucking. Hold on. Bear with us, everyone here. Click to see the full view, and then do save image as. So you have to navigate all the way, and of course you need to go into your entire directory too for some reason. Almost there, guys. Tubeway 8. Here we go. Ready? This is why I did this album cover. This is the album cover of Tubeway Army by Gary Newman's band in 1978, I think. Great album. This is before Newman started putting synthesizers into everything that he did. And there's some bass and guitar. There's some synth on like everything, I think, on the album, but it's a bass and guitar album. And it's more raw. It's a good album. And that is where... How far behind is the... Oh, that's why. It's just being stupid. Okay. A little latency on my end on my own monitor. But that's the goal there. You guys see the... You totally see the rip that was done. And I like to cite influences like that. Like, because people hear some of these songs like, oh, what kind of music is it? It's like, here are my influences. Things. And Gary's a legend. Gary, by the time he was 19, he like cranked out three world famous albums, and they're timeless. Those records are fucking timeless, dude. Go Tubeway Army, Replicas, Telecon. Oh, The Pleasure Principle. What am I thinking? Okay, Tubeway Army, Replicas, The Pleasure Principle, and then Telecon. And it's like boom, 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 boom. And he's like 20. And then the world's media treated him like crap. And they were like, Gary Newman is so weird. It's like, that's just because you guys don't get it yet. And then they got it a couple years later. And like, oh shit, whoops. And then they gave credit to everyone else. They were like other bands came out with synthesizers, and they're like, wow, these guys really invented synth pop. It's like, remember 6 years ago when you were trashing on that guy Gary Newman? They're like, oh, it's a real pioneer right there. In 1979, he wrote The Pleasure Principle. Are you kidding me? That album is 8 years out of its time frame. You know, like records like The Pleasure Principle came along in like 1984, 5, 6 later, not in 1979. And Replicas was before that. But he did them so fast. He was like boom, 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 and then the media was like, he sucks. And then it traumatized him, and then he couldn't perform live anymore because everyone was trashing on him all the time. And he came back friends with Trent Reznor. It's like, oh geez, something happened to you. You know, people don't end up friends with Trent Reznor because you guys treated them nicely. Okay, in the press. Of course he was listening to Nine Inch Nails. You bullied him. Rude people. So he came back different. But before that, Newman was the shit. It's like Bowie or something, where it's like he's good for a really long time, and then it's like, whoa, what the fuck just happened there? And they just never come back from it. I guess it's when they, I don't know, because Newman never gave up creative control. It's not like some of these other guys who start writing. Like, look at the Bowie song "China Girl." It's the worst version of that song ever made. If we couldn't get copyright struck, we would do like a whole thing with Bowie and Iggy right now. But the Iggy Pop version of that song is very good. And then David Bowie was like, I'm going to make $14 million covering it. And he wrote the original too. He was there at the time they wrote the original. They wrote it together at that big music hall in Germany where there's I don't remember what it's called, the studios, but it's a big building. It's like the world's largest indoor recording studio, and they were in there with these like natural reverberant frequencies and stuff going on, and they did the very spacey, very hypnotic Dum Dum Boys and Mass Production and China Girl. And the original version of China Girl is an incredible song. And Iggy Pop is screaming at the top of his fucking lungs and giving his entire soul and spirit into this one line of vocal. You know, very good record, The Idiot. And then Bowie came along and he did China Girl again, which didn't need to be done because it's fucking sick the first time. And then he just ruined it. At least his own version of it. We still have the Iggy version. We can still go listen to it, you know, because The Idiot is an awesome album. And everybody knows it, especially Ian Curtis, who died listening to it. Great record. And it's from that period of time, that 1977, where Bowie and Iggy are like running away from the whole world and like getting high in the corner. And then everyone, because no one would leave him alone in America, but especially Bowie, or in Europe or anywhere. They were like, you're David Bowie, oh my God. And so he was like, this sucks. I'm going to Germany. He couldn't walk outside. He couldn't go to the store. So he fled to Berlin to a little apartment above a dock and just hung out with Iggy Pop, and they were just getting loaded. Because they were, I don't know, they were running from those two, but they wrote The Idiot, and it's a sick album. Very, very sick album. And what happens is then people try to come along for commercial purposes and ruin their own material. And Bowie wrote that song, I think. I mean, Iggy's clearly doing the lyrics. Is it about heroin? Not sure. I don't think so. I think it's about like someone they knew, right? Isn't it? But it's really cool. and it has like all these like wailing emotional guitar riffs and things, and Iggy's like screaming his head off, and then the Bowie version comes along and it's like ting ting tong tong ting ting tong ting ting tong tong. It's like, ugh, what the hell? What have you done? And that was in the Let's Dance era, I think. Oh, Dolan, I have some hilarious stories for you when I come to see you. And nothing like triggering, but just things that I know that you're gonna appreciate and be like, oh my god, and we'll have a big laugh about it. And that'll only be in a few days, so that's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Are you still PHP? Hope so. Try to reset your PHP so that we can start PHP together at the same time, and it's gonna be great. You know, we're gonna go to groups together, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I have stories for you. So if you look here, I know you do. It's gonna be good to, you know, not have all the, because a lot of that stuff that we've experienced out there, it really weighs on the mood. Like when you're in a social environment, so you're like hanging out with your friend, but there's like so much other shit going on where it's like ugh, and then it just ruins the vibe. And we're not gonna have that problem there, so that's a good thing. This is my album cover for the record that's coming soon. A lot of it's coming along, you guys. A lot of it's here. Almost the whole thing. Let's see from a minute's perspective, where are we on the record right now. I gotta play the whole thing, but you know. Let's see where we are. Yo soy un prowler. I actually made that ski mask too, by the way. I really did. I have a picture of it. I'm going to put it on the screen in a second when I see the timestamp on this. It doesn't tell me, but there's 8 tracks there. So we're getting there. It's almost there. Okay, where's the ski mask picture? Let's get the ski mask. It's original. It's the Yo Soy Un Prowler original. Original Noche Acosador. Let's see here. Yo soy un prowler. Whoa, it's way down here. Where was all this stuff before when I was looking for that one picture for you guys? Yo soy un prowler. I have to go all the way down to the bottom like this. Oh my god. Oh, that's cool. Zodiac Identikit. Did I ever put that on the screen? I don't think I did. Oh, we have some things we could talk about, you guys. Yo soy un prowler. Yo soy un prowler. There it is, Yo soy un prowler original. So that's the ski mask right there. Yeah, I'm writing 2 books. That is going to be coming. Especially more so after we get there. Because there'll be time and things. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of books that I had to write. I still plan to do them. And then this is the Yo Soy Un Prowler mask that was made IRL. I used so it's going to be the cover for the song specific cover art. But some modifications of the background and stuff made, but each song has its own song specific cover art, like you guys saw in Nuke Hoax, and that would be the same on the book depository. I just haven't done them yet, and there's a lot of fucking songs. Like, what do I do about Mark Robert? You know? I wonder if Mark Robert would be mad at me for that song. I'm not sure. What's his sense of humor like? Alright, everybody. I think we had a good show. Covered a lot.